welcome to another episode of More Gloss Please. Today we've got a very special guest in the building. We've got Miss Anita Asante, and we normally have our really glamorous, girly girls, but today we've got something so special for you, because I'm going to teach you girls today something different. We're going to learn about some football. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Anita?
Yeah, well, I'm currently a Chelsea women's football player, and I've played for the England national women's team.
Did you hear that?
I've played in several different countries also, in the USA and in Sweden. I played in New Jersey and in Chicago, in St. Louis, and also in Sweden. I played for two clubs there, in Gothenburg and in Malmö, in the south of Sweden. And I came back to England just a year and a half ago. So.
Oh wow, you've had an extensive career. Wow, that's amazing. But you sound like you don't sound like a Londoner.
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
Are you from London?
I'm from Northwest, yeah.
You're from Northwest London?
Yeah.
You know my alter ego is from Northwest London.
That's what I heard, yeah.
That's crazy. But where do you think it's because you travelled so much that you've got like this like unique accent?
Yeah, my friends say it's like a transatlantic accent.
I love it.
Because I've been around so many other internationals and foreign players, and you're adjusting your language just to make it easier for everyone to understand and communicate with. And I also, during the time I lived in Sweden, I got to learn Swedish. It's not.
So you can speak Swedish?
I can. It's not
multifaceted.
It's not a useful language as such. Everywhere else, but it's nice to have.
Well, that's offensive to all the Swedish people. It's useful
I say that with
in
love.
Sweden.
I say that with love. But yeah, so I think that's why my accent is a little bit different now.
Right, so let's just delve right in. So women and football, I'm not saying women can't play football.
Yeah.
I personally don't watch football at all. So it's so interesting to meet like a woman who's got an amazing career doing a sport that a lot of the time is looked at as like a male sport. Right. How is that for you, and what's been your journey being a female in football?
I think I just naturally always played football. So for me, I didn't...
What age did you start football?
I started playing football at the age of 7.
Wow.
So I didn't really just...
That's your whole life.
Yeah, pretty much. And I just didn't even think about it. It was my passion. It was something I did. And at that age, you don't even know about all that nonsense. You don't know about people judging whether or not, you're a girl playing football.
At what age did you realise that, wait, hang on, maybe, I'm not looked at as the same as like a male footballer?
I think when I got into primary school and things like that, then I sort of realised that, wow, there is a difference to the way people perceive girls playing football. And that's just simple things like not having a team at school for girls to participate in, or at PE you're not getting to join in football, you're having to do like netball or other things, So I think that's when I really got to know, okay, wow, it's not really open and inclusive for everyone.
Yeah, and it's like when it comes to women in sports, if you're not in the gym trying to get abs and to look sexy for guys, then they kind of count you out.
Right. Exactly.
I feel like it was never pushed on us to watch sports or anything like that. So
100%.
where did your love for sports come from?
Well, I think, to be honest, I was a natural tomboy growing up, so
I was a tomboy till I was in year 7. Actually, year 9.
Exactly, and I think that's where I really didn't care. All my closest friends were boys who just accepted me and liked to hang out with me and let me play football with them, and they were sort of oh wow, she's really good. So for them it was also cool to have a girl that could play football and hang out with. So I think that's why it didn't really bother.
What did your parents say when they realised I'm guessing from your last name, Asante, that you're Ghanaian?
Yes.
So what was that like?
Well, my dad is a massive football fan anyway. He supports Arsenal, and so for him, he was kind of I think he was kind of buzzing actually.
Yeah.
He was one of my children can play, my mum was always just more concerned about me getting injured and hurt. Mm-hmm. That was her main thing, don't get hurt, don't fall over, don't get, scars and whatnot. So
yeah,
as mums do, it's super protective. And I remember actually a very clear incident where my grandparents were on the phone to my mom and dad, and they were like, why are you letting her play football? She shouldn't be doing that. She should be just going studying and finding someone to marry and all that stuff, you know. And my parents are just like, well, she's not studying. She's doing all those other things as well as playing, and it makes her happy. So we're just going to support her in that.
And then you made an amazing career for yourself out of it as well.
Yeah.
So like, you play for Chelsea at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm guessing that's not the only team you played for.
No, I played for Arsenal, and I actually played for Arsenal the longest time
Oh, amazing.
of my career. That's like my childhood club
Wow.
that I grew up playing at. So
what do you love more? I'm
Oh
not
my
trying
God,
to start
we're
no
in the
beef
spot.
here,
Okay.
but is it Chelsea or is it Arsenal?
we're gonna have football wars now. Your comment section's gonna go
I just
off.
don't want anyone to bash me. I just want an answer. That's all I'm looking for.
No, you know, there's a special place in my heart for Arsenal, of course. But you know, I'm Chelsea at the minute, so
Well, you heard it here first.
that's the diplomatic answer.
She's Chelsea. Sorry, guys. Okay, cool. So, what's it like? So, like, you're doing football at the moment. What other things are you into? Because I know, like, football to many people is leisure,
Right.
but football to you is work. So, what is your leisure?
Yeah, so you know, I really enjoy. I'm really into politics, weirdly enough, and things like that, and sort of charity work and things like that. So I actually studied politics at university. That was my degree, and my
Okay.
master's is in that as well, politics and English.
I guess football is politics because all people ever do is argue and fight about who's the best.
Of course. So I can, you know, put some of that into good use in football. But no, my passion is really just driving forward women and women's sport, and showing women there's so many opportunities, whether you play as a player or work within football, you know, as referees and coaches, and we want to get more diverse, people involved in sport and in football.
Mm-hmm.
And have more role models basically out there for young girls to see, because I didn't really have that in football for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think the earliest memories, you know, I had was Rachel Yankee, who's also a Ghanaian, who played at England and
Ghanaians, we're doing our thing,
you know, was a role model for
On
me.
the court,
We really are, and
on the field. What would I say for football?
on the pitch.
Pitch. See, I don't know anything about football. I'm so bad. I'm gonna get cussed out by everybody watching, but I'm learning. This is why you're here,
Right.
to teach me more.
I'm happy to do that. So, you know, and the Williams sisters, of course, in tennis
Yeah.
were like the biggest.
But it's so sad that in football you never had women to look up to, that you'd have to like cross over to another sport.
Of course, but even in, you know, if you take tennis for example, again it's just one or two
Yeah, it's
for
true.
other.
But it's
diverse
two that are like
teams,
so big.
huge.
So they're huge. So I feel like they've made like especially for black women as well.
Yeah.
That's like two women that we really look up to in sport. When I think of women in sports, I always think of them.
Right.
But it's like we should have more.
Definitely.
Can I ask you a question? Do you feel like being a woman in football, do you feel like that's made you a feminist, or like have feminist like, you know, thoughts and opinions and stuff?
Undoubtedly, yes. I think
Okay.
for sure. I think it's a bit of both. I think my background, being a woman, being a black woman, being a Ghanaian, all of these things is things that you challenge every day in the societies we live in. So ultimately, if you want to make a difference in your immediate life or for people around you, then you have to engage. You have to engage in what's going on in the world and things like that. And football, we have so many barriers still. Obviously, equity in terms of equal pay, but equal pay is something that women.
So you as a woman, a female footballer, wouldn't get the same as what a male footballer would get who plays for Chelsea or plays for Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's just wrong, Chelsea and Arsenal. And this is coming from me, Bernicia, at BB Studios. I'm not happy with that. Like,
watch out, she's coming.
yeah, I'm coming. I'm gonna start watching just for this now.
No, but this is the thing, and you know.
So what can we do as women to like make sure that those kind of things stop becoming an issue?
Well, the first thing is using whatever platforms we have to voice it, to make it known it's an issue. Because there's a lot of people out there that don't realise that. They don't realise all the sacrifices that so many girls and women make just to do what they do, you know, in any industry. So it's about, you know, using the channels we have, whether it be social media, on Twitter, on Instagram.
I'm so happy you're here. So you're giving us that knowledge, because it happens everywhere. Like, you know, men and women are not put against each other, but in any way that we're working together, they're always placed higher. So definitely I see that, but I can see it even more in sports, because it seems to be something just for men, or like men are the best at doing it and we should just be their cheerleaders. Right. But I love the fact that we're your cheerleaders, you know what I mean? Like, you're doing your thing, you're smashing it.
Of course.
But we just need to keep pushing at it, I guess.
No, 100%. And, you know, it's not like it's an us and a them. Like, you know, we have great support even at Chelsea with our men's team, and that, you know, they send messages and things like that.
So would the girls play against the guys? Or is that not?
No, not really. Not in a competitive sense. Maybe for fun.
But we need to go watch a game where it's like Chelsea women against like Arsenal guys. Like, why is that not a thing?
You know, for loads of reasons. I mean, you know, there's no denying the fact that we're not having the same physical.
No, I'm not having that. Yeah, it's true. It's fact.
No, it's fact. You know, but of course, you know, all the charity, like Soccer Aid, for example, is the first year ever that they've had women participate with men in a charity, event, mad. which is mad, but it's also great. It's showing that things are changing and we are being accepting of that, and we are wanting to see new things in the sport as well. And that's the point. I as a female footballer, I enjoy watching men's football. I'm supportive of that, and it would be great if we got the same support in return.
So who do you think is better at football, girls or guys?
Oh, you know, I think it's not a case of who's better. I think that
it's a case of who's not drinking.
You know, I think there are many professional guys out there who would look at some women's footballers and be like, wow, they're exceptional. You know, as we do with all football players. There are great players, there are average players. And that is within all sports, you know, not just our sport.
So what would you grade yourself? Are you average, or are you...
I mean, I'm world class.
Hey!
No, but you know, I think obviously having played at the highest level in a professional sense, I've been playing professional football for over 10 years.
That's incredible.
And, you know, playing your national team, playing at World Cups, European
Championships.
Championships.
I can't even accept that you've been playing for 10 years. You're so, like, young and youthful.
I appreciate that.
I'm not even going to ask your age, because, like, ladies, we don't tell. Well, I tell all over my channel, but I'm not going to ask. But, like, I can imagine you've been doing it for a long time. You said you started when you were, like, 6 or 7.
Yes.
So, like, what are some of, like, the biggest things that you've learned throughout your journey?
I think one of the things is just to believe in yourself.
And how do you have such what advice can you give people who want to have an extensive career in sports?
Well, of course it's about working hard, but it's about putting yourself in an environment that's going to help you develop. So, you know, challenging yourself is a big part of that. And believing in your talent and backing yourself is also a big part of that. But just knowing that, you know, there are so many like-minded athletes who, you know, if you get into a competitive sport, you're going to be among the best who are going to push you to see how far you can fulfill your potential, which is really the point, which is the purpose. You know, you want to see how good,
because that's applicable in everything. I feel like that I can apply that to myself as well, and I'm sure you guys out there watching, whatever you're doing, this is a mindset that we should have. Like, don't be scared of the challenge. You should go at it. But yeah, I'm not always, but sometimes I'm like, oh God, this is getting a bit heavy now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna back out. But I'm guessing that's not.
No, I think, you know, it's about daring to do. That's what it is. It's a vulnerable thing sometimes to put yourself in a position where you know you're going to be measured, you're going to be judged on performance and what you do. But doing it is actually a very brave thing to do. And once you make that hurdle, that is a success in itself. And then you know, oh wow, like, what's the next challenge? What's the next goal? What can I possibly achieve from here? So that's always been my starting point, is, you know, I want to see what I can achieve individually, but collectively, obviously, with my teams, whether we play in Champions League or at a World Cup or a European Championship.
Oh wow, you've done loads, girl. That's amazing. So have you done like Champions League? Like, what's like the biggest thing you've done? At what point did you realise, like, wait, hang on, am I really doing this? This was a dream and now I'm here.
I think getting on the Olympic squad for 2012.
That is sick.
As a, you know, home nation, unbelievable.
In Stratford,
I mean,
up the road.
Your ends, you know.
My ends, yeah. Just gonna rep my ends quickly.
Exactly. Unbelievable experience. never ever would have imagined that I
Your
would have had the
parents must have
opportunity.
been like,
Oh yeah, I mean everyone, my whole family, people who know me, you know, people who bump into you in the street, whatever, like everyone was buzzing, and obviously the whole country was behind it. It was an amazing experience.
and to do it in your home country as well.
Yeah, unreal. And I'd say the other experience would be winning the quadruple with Arsenal.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Like, I don't even know if there's a team out there that's going to replicate that, you know, that again. Good luck. Like, I hope they do it, but
She's basically saying she's the Don Dada in it. Like, their team is the best. No, but
you know,
you guys did your thing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
you know, to get a European trophy with the first English club to get Champions League, which was then the UEFA Women's Cup. The domestic treble, unbelievable. And one of the highlights of my career, really.
That's amazing. So, of course, being a woman, being in sports, like, there's going to come a time where you're going to want to settle down, have your kids, do whatever. Are those things that come into your mind? Like, how do you do it? And have you seen other female athletes do that?
Yeah, you know, I've played with a number of players that have decided to have kids whilst playing. And I'm like, wow, you know, I'm in
So
awe.
they're running around on the court pregnant.
Basically.
How does that work out?
You know, there's up until a certain period where they obviously have to stop training and stuff. But a lot of them do it for the, you know, first month.
But are they still fast?
Yeah, I mean,
Wouldn't you have to slow down a little bit?
wow, no, I mean,
Is that something you would consider though? Do you think you could do that yourself?
no, not me at all. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm in admiration that they do that, because, you know, obviously, all of us who have been around them whilst they've been pregnant have to be aware, obviously, not to be too aggressive and kind of limit that physical contact. But it's not easy. I mean, the professional game,
But
what
I'm
it is
glad
now.
you said that, because I feel like I said before, you can probably tell from speaking to me that I don't know that much about football.
I'm not judging you at all.
Everyone else is. Guys, just forgive me. But like, I think it's so important for us to realise that just because we are women and we do create life, you know, life is happening inside of us, doesn't mean that we can't do all the things that we want to do. And I feel like it's been represented quite well recently in music, with Beyonce being pregnant, still, you know, seeing at her tours, and like Cardi B and like other people like that. So it's so encouraging to hear that in sports women are doing that as well. It just goes to show we're every woman basically. I mean, we can do it all.
We are women, we are phenomenal, we can multitask, we know this already. So no, I mean, I think now where the professional women's game is going, it's going to get easier for women to make those choices, to have children whilst playing. A lot more will do that probably. But I think in the years leading up to now, it's been really difficult for those that have decided to do that, to juggle, you know?
So when did you, like, I know you've been doing this for a long time, so I'm pretty sure when you started in comparison to now, there's been a shift in the way that women are accepted, or like things have changed. When did you start to see that change happening?
Well, when I went to America, obviously in 2009, it was the first professional league again after one failed attempt before that in the early 2000s. So I think at that time it was like, wow, there's starting to be more professional teams that want full-time players and things like that. I think of the 10 years that I've been out of the UK, the drastic increase in coverage of the women's game is significant. You know, you're getting now household names on television, like we discussed before. People like Alex Scott doing punditry on television for men's football as well as women's football. You're getting increased support at clubs and national teams who are actually putting things like maternity into contracts. Like, people would be shocked that those things didn't exist before. You didn't have maternity support and things like that in a contract.
Not that I can imagine it, but because of how things are, it doesn't shock me that this is something that's only now been implemented.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's, you know, shows how far we've come, but also like
how much more we've got to go.
How much we've got to go, and it's testament to the ones who have done it under those conditions. To be honest, you know, having national teams be able to support their players, because if you play on a national team, the likelihood is you're gone 2 weeks out of every month for training camp, as well as your professional job at your club. So there's a lot of travel involved, and as you can imagine, you know, having to juggle your family, your kids are in school, all that sort of thing is a challenge.
It's a big job in itself.
Massively.
So what's next for you then?
Well, you know, I hope at the moment I'm
So I feel like in terms of football, you've kind of you've smashed it. Like you've done everything. So what's like the next thing? Would you go into training?
No, you know, I really have never saw myself as a coach or anything like that.
How come?
Because I think you have to have
You seem so knowledgeable, like you know loads about, especially within football.
I sort of view myself as this like consultant big figure. Like I could help a coach manage a team, but I don't want to be the coach who has to deal with all the, you know, the managerial aspects of managing people. When they're up and when they're down, the disappointments of selecting a team, not selecting the team, all that sort of stuff. So I can imagine going into sort of directorship, more working behind the scenes of a club, also analyst work, you know, watching games, analysing and doing punditry and commentary for those types of things. And obviously I do a lot of work at the minute for Amnesty International as an ambassador.
And what does that consist of?
So they run a lot of projects, and at the moment they've had a project called Refugees Welcome, which is just about initiatives around the country with certain clubs welcoming their local refugees and introducing them to football, giving them opportunities to play, giving them opportunities to have stadium tours and meet professional footballers, and you know, kind of just give them that welcoming experience into the country.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So obviously you're Ghanaian.
Yeah.
And would you ever play for Ghana? Or is that something you would like consider?
I've had this question like a dozen times, and honestly, I think it would have been a great honour, obviously, to have represented Ghana. But in those days, I really wasn't aware of women's football in Ghana and how big or small it was. And it wasn't till much later, when I'd already been playing for the national team for England, that they approached me. And it was just unfortunate that at that time I'd already had senior international caps, which means once you've played for the senior team, you can't even switch over to another nation unless you are willing to, I guess, wait a few years in between to cross over.
So that means that ship has sailed now, like you probably can never do it?
Yeah, I think that ship is definitely sailed. I don't even know if my body would allow me to do it. It's at that point.
No, your body would allow you to do it. Can we just take a step back? Because there's a lot going on here.
But no, I mean, I believe they have a really
But
good
I'm
team.
surprised, did your parents not like try and force you to do it? You
To
know
play
how
for
Ghana.
Ghana?
Go play for Ghana.
No, you know, they didn't. I think they were just like me, you know, just sort of oblivious to other movements that were going on elsewhere. But I know for sure they would have loved it, and the support I have from family and friends in Ghana is unbelievable. You know, they love it. They love just the simple fact that I play football, and they're bragging to everyone.
Of course they would be, like, especially because of like how far you've obviously come and you've made your mark and you've done your thing, and it's not easy to do it,
Right.
and you've done it, so they must be like overjoyed by everything. When was the last time you visited Ghana?
You know, I'm ashamed to say this, but
Don't tell me like 10 years.
yeah, it's close to that.
10 years!
It's really,
Anita,
I know.
come on.
I know it's not on, really, is it? But
It's not on.
it's not.
You've been all of this 29 countries and you can't go back to Ghana, so when are you going?
I'm actually hoping to go this Christmas and do the whole big one, you know, see all the
Like
family,
the partying, the clubbing, all of it.
you know, the food,
Yeah, the food is like the best bit.
everything.
Oh.
So, you know, it'll be exciting because I have a cousin who's also into music there, and so
Can you say?
yeah, his name's Guilty Beats. So check him out.
Hey. Oh, is that your cousin?
That's my cousin. So
Yo, Guilty Beats, what you saying?
Yeah.
What you saying?
big up. So yeah, you know, I keep saying to him, I'll come if you're there. You take me out, show me what it's all about.
That's what's good. Well, you're definitely gonna have a good time then.
Definitely.
Right, Anita. So we're slaying your brows right now, yeah. But just before we come back with your finished look, I want you to give our young girls out there who want to be in a position that you've been so blessed and like, no, I wouldn't even say luck. I think it's just literally a blessing because of who you are. But what advice can you give somebody trying to get into sports as a woman?
I just think that, you know, obviously if you're a young woman or girl out there and you want to play football, just look into your local communities first, what local clubs are available, and if they have training sessions or tryouts and things like that. That's a good way to get involved. But there's so much information now with social media, so you know, you can literally write to people on Twitter or Instagram, or look on the FA website is a good starting point to just find out what's available in your area as a Kickstarter, and then just take it from there really.
Amazing. Well, we're going to finish up this look and then we're going to be back with Anita's finished look. Thank you so much, Anita.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, we're back with Miss Anita Asante and this is her finished look. We've gone for something very natural, easy breezy, beautiful as she is already. And we've used the Oma Beauty palette. This is Black Magic. We've used nice warm reddish purplish tones to suit the weather and just how gorgeous she is. So I hope you enjoyed this interview and I hope you've learned a little bit more about football, women in football. And Anita, you want to say anything to us before you go?
Yeah, just thank you for this look.
Hey.
Look at me right now. I'm gassed.
Thank you. And then you're coming back to Big B Studios for more glam.
Of course.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Guys, tune in to more gloss, please. Like, subscribe, comment, follow us on the gram. Do it all. We love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.